Hello, SolarLune here, and here's another Gearend development log video. This one's talking about quite a few things I've done in between the previous devlog and this one. Okay, so firstly, new enemy. This guy right here. Check him out. I want to see something. I knew it! I knew it. Okay, so that's a bug. But yeah, basically this guy's a spinning blade of death. You can't actually touch him. He's really dangerous no matter what. You can't touch him, you can't hit him. He's just really dangerous. Good for general impediments and kind of just to spruce up a room and add a little more danger. He moves on a very set area, which is basically whichever ground. He keeps moving until he gets to nothing or a wall, and then he turns around. So that works really well. I need to add perhaps some spikes or something, not spikes, sparks or something, scraping out and sparking out from behind him. The idea that I had for him was basically that he would follow the route, follow this kind of ground tile. I was going to have like a corner piece and then wall pieces, so he could go down walls, up walls like that. And so you kind of can see and know, okay, this is where he is, this is where he's going to be, and kind of, it's helpful to understand like where he's located and lead the player with that knowledge that the player's not like thrown back by the fact that he's just going all over the place and then suddenly stops here or makes a sudden reversal or something to that effect. So anyway, yeah, cool. That's all good. So this guy can't be defeated. He's a nice little interesting piece, spinning like crazy. Okay, this guy is annoying as heck. He is Radishal. The previous guy was Grinder. This guy is Radishal, like radical, a radical onion or radish. That's it. Radical radish. So basically he's just sleeping over there, and when you get close enough, he wakes up and starts and kind of gets angry and starts attacking. I wanted an enemy that's kind of like a Goomba, that's just kind of like a player's first kind of entry enemy into the game world, where you kind of understand a little bit more about the situation of like who this is or what state the game world's in, the kind of tone that the game expects from you and is set. So basically, he moves a little too fast and he's a little unpredictable by a huge amount, but he works pretty well. I just have seen a bug, which is basically when he, if you're above him, he jumps, but he doesn't wait until he's on the ground to jump. Like if you're too far above him, he'll jump regardless of whether he's on the ground. So I have to fix that. But anyway, yeah. So he's a pretty good kind of entry into like what this game's about and how fast and heavy the action is, really quick. The thing about him is he'll jump until he gets close to you, and then he'll stop jumping, or if you are too far above him. So that's an interesting mechanic. Other than moving too fast, what was that? Other than moving too fast, I think he was jumping on the sword slash. I have to fix that. I have to give it a no ground property. But anyway, yeah, it's good for this. I think this character is good for this game because it's pretty fast, it's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Well, no, he's not easy, but I think I like that. I like that it's a little difficult. If I could just slow him down a little bit, I think he'd be a really good addition. And he's also, because he jumps, he's different functionally than the top. So it's not like he's just a top that spawns by himself. No, he's actually a functionally different character that has different logic and behaves differently. So that's good. I like that. The spawning system. I implemented a spawning system. Basically, as you've seen, when you defeat an enemy and you leave the room and come back, the enemy will respawn in their previous position. That works fine. It's not bad. The thing that I might want to do is implement a different mechanism to tell when you have sufficiently left the area, because currently just leaving the room, leaving the screen and coming back, that's considered enough to respawn the enemy, which is okay, but it might be better to do something so that the player can't just continuously run into enemies repeatedly. Like if you have a considerably kind of difficult section where it's like, oh, I have to clear this entire room out of 5 different enemies, and they got me down to 1% health, and I finally defeat them, and you go into the next room and come back, I don't think you want them to respawn like immediately. What I might want to consider is 2 things. One would be distance, which is basically, or 3 things. One would be distance, which is just, am I 20 blender units away, 40 blender units away, 80 blender units away? If so, then respawn. You know, it's okay to respawn when I revisit the room. The problem with this is if you go into, for example, a room inside of, like, if you have a doorway here, or wherever, but just, you know, here as an example, I go inside, it might be on the same scene, on the same, you know, it might be in existence in this scene, but 100 blender units down, or 100 units, blender units back, or something to that effect. And so all the enemy spawners are going to be like, oh, well, the player's left the scene. He's far away enough for us to respawn. That's not true. I'm basically just right inside. Like, I'll come right outside the doorway and then suddenly be beset by the same number of enemies. So that's not going to work. Another method might be time. That could work, but the problem with time is obviously if the person just sets the control down and goes to make a sandwich or get something to drink or something and comes back, that counts. So that's not really that great. It might be okay if it's like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, where it's just like, you know, if you leave it on, then, you know, for 10 minutes, then the enemy respawns. No one's really gonna leave their desk for that long with the game just running and then not, like, and be surprised when the enemies respawn. I think that'd be okay. The last method that I'm probably going to go with would be to keep track of the rooms that you're in and how many rooms are between the spawner. For example, the spawner is in this room, and how many, you know, rooms away you go. So for example, the spawner's in the previous room, so I'm 1 room away. Now I'm 2 rooms away, and at this point it might be like, okay, that's far away enough, I can respawn 2 rooms or 3 rooms. So I'll see about that. You know, keeping a track of that might not be too difficult. I think just keeping a track of the rooms that I visited that aren't the room that the spawner's in would probably be enough to kind of keep track of that and allow the spawner to know and basically determine, yeah, it's okay to respawn. The player's far away enough. He's in, you know, 4 rooms over. Okay, let's see. Okay, the window system has become all spiffy. Has gotten all spiffy. It's all nice and clear. There's this, I don't know what this is. It's kind of cut off here. There's a bottom to the window, but for some reason, sometimes I don't see the bottom. So anyway, I gotta fix it. But anyway, it's got a nice little scrolling background, Mega Man Legends like. The text has been changed to something clear, in my opinion, just better, crisper, clearer, nicer. And the text has a shadow now, which is nice, so it's a lot easier to read. Okay, cool. You now have a choice system between yes, the left icon, and no, the right icon. And it's a nice little animated kind of neon system like that. Neon visual like that. This text is just test text. I was talking about kerning because the font I used previously was kind of poor, but this one actually works pretty well. I like it a lot, and I think it works solidly, so I don't have any problems with this one. But yeah, you can make choices, and the NPC can respond to those choices nice and simply. Cool. Okay, now we're gonna look at a bit of the code here. Right over here. The code being that I revamped the NPC system, because before it was just a means for basically, you know, kind of text, like displaying text on screen. But then I was going to make cinematics, and I was trying to figure out, how do I do cinematics? Well, functionally, NPC dialogue and cinematics are the exact same thing, basically. You know, you could say that you know, there's different kinds of cinematics and dialogue and stuff like that, but for the most part, they're kind of the same for a lot of games, and it's going to be the same in this game too. So I just basically kind of revamped the NPC system to be the cinematic system. So this involved making kind of a custom scripting approach, custom kind of simple scripting language that I'm going to expand with different commands as I need them for Gearend's cinematic system. Let me see. So I have the cinematics. I'm going to have the cinematics and dialogue stored in files, individual files. This is just basically a global dialogues file that's going to be for all the dialogues for all the NPCs until I decide, oh yeah, I need to split it, and then maybe it'll be for all the NPCs in specific zones or whatever. Cinematics, like entire cinematics, are probably going to be in their own files, just because I feel like those are going to be longer. These are just examples. Okay, so I have just a few mechanics or a few functions implemented. This is a label that basically says a section of code. End is where that section of code ends, of course. The talk function, it displays a message on screen. So you say talk, and then you put in quotes what you want to say. The quotes aren't put there on the screen. It's just the. I don't think the quotes are put there on the screen. I think it's just the. It's just the actual text. I don't think it's the actual, like, the quote signs. I can't think of the word. The quote characters. And yeah, when you leave room, the enemies despawn, so they're not just running all the time. Yeah, the quotes aren't there, so they're not there by default. I guess I can add them in just by doing double quotes or something. Okay, or escaping them, however necessary. New lines are signaled with this /n character, or sequence of characters rather. Wait is a function that just takes a number, like 2 or 0.5 or whatever, and that means wait for however many seconds, and then it continues. Go to goes to or jumps to the dialogue. I'm sorry, the label that that you put down there. So for this, if I have dialogue 2, if I have an NPC that starts with dialogue 2, when you talk to it, it's going to say it's another dialogue message. How about that? It's going to wait 2 seconds, then it's going to go to this line up here and it say, hey there, how are you? Welcome to the town, population U. It's a small town, or so I've heard, and then it'll end. So that's the concept there. Choice is basically talk, but you can say yes or no, yes or no. And if you say yes, then it'll jump to the label here, whatever label you specify. So test yes, and if you say no, it's going to jump to test no, and that's it. So I don't have any mechanics for like giving the player anything, or giving them, for example, adding bolts, subtracting bolts, or anything like that. If I have currency, I was planning to have it in there. I think I will, but I'm not sure. Just because I haven't implemented it yet, so I might not actually do it. But yeah, so that is working, and it all is parsed correctly. I was doing this incorrectly, but then I decided to do it correctly, so that's all working correctly now. Hooray. Yeah, so the cinematic system should be up and running. I just have to keep on adding more functions as necessary to like move the player around, or whatever is necessary to get the cinematics I need. Choice system's up and running, which is great, because that's something I'm gonna need. I'm gonna use a pretty good amount of the time. Yeah, so everything's up and running and working well. All right, well, thank you very much. Oh, also I've been looking for tools. I think I should be able to show this. I don't think I have like my password visible or anything like that. But yeah, Git Kraken is a tool for Windows, Mac, and Linux for Git development, version control, and it's really nice. It seems really nice. It seems pretty easy to use. It's visual, works well. I was able to get it all working with BDX upload mesh class branch, and that's working too. So that's great. That might actually be useful for my for Gearend, specifically like moving platforms and stuff. We'll see. All right, well, yeah. So this is it's a nice piece of software. I would recommend it. It seems nice. All right, well, yeah. Thank you very much for watching. I've been SolarLune, and this has been a Gearend development log video. Thanks. See ya.